Hey dorks, just a quick message reminding you to head over to twitch.tv/mindgappodcast and give us a follow. We live stream when we record our new podcast episodes, and we're live streaming video game sessions on Saturday nights at 8 o'clock p.m. Central Time. We're playing super rad stuff like Among Us, Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes, Jackbox games, and Tabletop Simulator. Come hang out and play along with us. That's twitch.tv/mindgappodcast.
Mind Gap Podcast.
Hey everybody, welcome to Mind Gap Podcast. I'm Doug.
I'm Justin.
Wow. And welcome back, buddy.
Thank you. Something I just realized, the new format that we're using here does not, when you used to do something really loud, when we were using Discord, it would cut you out. Like it would, there was a clipping thing. So like when you would do the clap in the beginning, or if you would say like, woo, or do something real loud, you would just, I wouldn't hear you. I've heard everything so far, and it's magic.
I wonder if because there was a noise gate. I mean, I put noise gate on some of the stuff here, but I wonder if it's not transferred over through the thing that we're using now. So that may be the thing.
I wonder. Yeah.
I better not fart because you'll probably hear it now.
You did have your noise gate set to fart.
Yeah. It's like no farts.
The frequency of fart.
Yeah. Welcome to the frequency of fart.
That's going to be our Friday night podcast.
Frequency of fart. Or that'll just be like our autobiography. Mind Gap Podcast, the frequency of fart, you know?
It's the unofficial biography.
Check out for pre-order on Amazon now. It'd be great.
Yes.
Support
You
your
can go to
local podcast.
redbubble.com to pick up a copy of that. Yeah.
There you go. Woo! For those of you who are listening,
that needs to be a design. I'm going to go ahead and commission someone from the community to create a frequency of fart, and we're going to I would wear a shirt that had that.
Ooh, that's actually really cool. I like that.
Yeah, frequency of fart.
As you know, Justin, you weren't here last week, so I did the best that I could. Actually, didn't use my sandboard hardly at all, actually. But I was worried because I don't have the full fart library that you do. I did have 3. I had the very important ones. I had the emergency fart. It actually reminds me, is that shit on right now? I should probably go make sure
That's probably a good question. Yeah. I was wondering too, because you haven't busted that soundboard or that voice mod out in a long time. Because
it would always crash, and then my audio would die, and it was super frustrating, and it bums me out because I want to do that for the game that I'm thinking.
My God, yes.
Way to go, Doug. Past Doug was the head of the game. He was like, let's turn all that shit off so we don't have any trouble. So way to go, past Doug. I checked the sounds when you said fart. Thank you, Jared. Jared's always on this, you know?
Those guys got our back.
This guy does not fuck around. He knows what's going on.
I don't care what Slotty says about you. You're a good guy, Jared.
Yeah. But if you're just listening, you should check us out on twitch.tv/mindgappodcast. I just did a new format, a new layout, a new overlay for the podcast. I'm pretty excited about it. You know, it's more Justin and I, and less of just the vacant space that exists.
Yeah.
So it's cool. It's cleaner, fuller. I like it. Yeah, check us out there. Drop a like, follow us, and you'll get notified whenever we go live. Come hang out with us live for the stream. Be pretty cool. But yeah, man, I missed you last week, but I a big shout out to old Wolfslore.
He filled the role, man. He was clutch.
Beautiful human stopped by and was a wonderful guest host. Had a great conversation, and I'm very thankful that he could come in and do. Man, everyone's giving you shit in the chat. They're like, who is this Justin guy? He is sus. Everyone's like,
oh yeah,
we should put the names up there because I don't know who is this James. Who is this? Who is this other guy? He missed 1 week, gang. 1 week. My goodness.
I'll say this to Zinni. You've been in this chat for quite some time now, and Jared made that like pages ago as I'm scrolling. So let's go. Come on. Be on top.
Jeffy.
You're going to give me shit. Just be on top of it.
Hi, Jeffy. That's a good fake name for you, Jeffy.
Jeffy, I'll be Jason. I'll be whatever. You just tell me who you want me to be.
Yeah.
I'll be whoever you want me to be.
Be what you want me to be.
Listeners.
All you gotta do is just sub, and I'll be whatever you want me to be.
Yeah. Say, look, just give us a little subby sub. Just smash that sub button, and I'll be anyone you want me to be. Oh, yeah.
Dig it, dun dun dun. Yeah, he's back.
Oh.
God, I missed you. But before we get into anything, let's get the basics out of the way. Let's get the.
You are excited that I'm
I am
back.
excited.
I can tell. Yeah. You want to do some housekeeping?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Let's get this done and out of the way because we got so much shit to talk about. I don't want to waste any time. So first things first. If you don't already, check us out on Spotify, wherever you can get your podcast. But we are available on Spotify. Go check us out there. Apple Podcasts, Samsung, Whittly Doos.
Apparently Amazon Music now?
Amazon Music. We're all that sort of stuff. But definitely check us out on Spotify if you don't already. We do exist there. Secondly, you should come join our Discord family. We got a new person that joined us last week who was wonderful. A good friend of Wolf's joined us, Almighty Crit. Happy to have them join the family. You can join the family too. Just head over to twitch.tv/mindgappodcast. In our About section, you'll see a little banner that says Discord. Just click on those words that say Discord. The invite will take you right over to our Discord family where you get to meet the cool people like Jared, Denny, Wolf, Noah, all the cool people. And we hang out. Zenny's our resident 9gag meme curator. I always love waking up to all the wonderful memes that she's posted. Jared usually joins in on that as well. We've got all sorts of fun channels. We've got a D&D channel. We've got a memes channel. We've got a recipes channel. We've got a looking for groups. So if you're looking to game up with some real cool people, we do that often, which is great. All sorts of stuff. And you can also get involved with the podcaster. We've got a Ask Practical Doug channel, merch ideas, throw down suggestions, all that sort of stuff. You know, it's all living right there in our Discord. So come hang out with us. Come join us. It's a really good time. Next up, check us out at redbubble.com. Go head on over there for all of your merch needs. Just type in MindGap Podcast, all one word, in your search function. You'll find our site. And I think through the 21st, if I can get that right, if I'm not mistaken.
Ooh, do we have deals?
There is a deal. That is not the right redbubble.com. You ever do that where you type in a website wrong once and for the rest of your life, your internet browser's like, oh, did you want this fucked up site? Because you're going to get it. Like, cool.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Through October 21st.
Or in HUD for me now. It'll never go correct.
Yeah. Apparently, I typed in Redbubble with 3 B's once, and now it takes me to some horrific site whenever I try to type in Redbubble. But if you go to redbubble.com, use the code SHOPEARLY. You can get anywhere between 20 to 60% off site-wide through October 21st. So this podcast launches on 21st. It's a Thursday. Get to it, man. Head over to redbubble.com. Get over there. Save yourself 20 to 60% off on all that good stuff. Pick yourself up something nice. We've got, 2 logo designs. We've got the I Will Haunt Your Butt design. Get yourself t-shirt, mug, travel mug, backpack, hoodies. We got all sorts of shit there. So do yourself a favor, shop early. Don't worry, get your stuff done now. Get yourself a gift now for Christmas. The supply chain problem is real.
Right.
Just help yourself out. Earn something good.
And while you're at it, you're on the site already. You may as well buy one for your grandma.
Mm-hmm.
You may as well buy one for your cousin.
Mm-hmm.
That next door neighbor that sometimes watches your cat when you go out on long trips. Get one for everyone. You don't need to go to all these websites and grab all. So what do I get this? It's right there for you. We've got all sorts of stuff. Get a coffee mug, get a clock, whatever you need. It's there.
There. Go check it out. Do yourself a favor. Jared just said we should have a channel that is just for telling Justin we miss him. I think that would be great. The I Miss You Justin channel. Be great.
I'm into it.
Be awesome. Last but not least, I said it already, but head over to twitch.tv/MindGapPodcast. We stream our podcast episodes every Tuesday live at 8 p.m. Central. And I also host a video game live stream on Saturdays at 8 p.m. Central. Last week, we busted out the new Jackbox Party Pack 8. It was a lot of fun, except for one game, which I think kind of sucked. It really just drug everything down. It was like kind of a trivia game, But then the design of it was weird. You do like 3 questions, and then you do this stupid spinning thing. And we had 2 randos join, and then they left immediately. So we had to sit through their turns like the whole time. And it was just like,
close.
and just even them not doing anything, they still earned points. And it was really obnoxious. And at one point I was like, can we just fucking kill this game and move on to something else? Yeah. But there was another game called Job, which was, boy, was that fun.
Good.
The whole conceit of it was, you're going in for a job interview, and you get to, they will give you a couple of prompts, like something simple, like explaining like to a child what a parking ticket is. And you have like 400 characters, and you type it out, and the more words you type, the better. So you answer these prompts, and then based on how you answered those, they will give those words from someone. And based on the words that they gave you, you will then have to take those words and craft an answer to a question. As if it's like, you just saw Jeffy stealing paper from the supply room. How do you respond? And all you have are the words that people type to different responses to then craft your own response. And boy, did it get filthy real fast. Boy.
Only with the community that we have, it does not surprise me in the least.
Yeah, it was very, very fun. It was very enjoyable, very silly, very raunchy. It was a good time.
I wish I could have joined you guys.
Yeah, it was great.
I would, and I apologize. Something came up, and I was totally unable to attend. But I will do everything in my power to be there next time that you guys play that one.
What's great about that those games too is that like there's an audience section. So if you want to sort of play along and just vote for things, you can. It's a really cool. That's what I love about Jackbox is it's very inclusive of people. So Jill has already RSVP'd for the next one. So she's like, I'm there. So she was bummed.
Bottle of wine.
I told her, I go, people were wondering if Wine Jill is going to be showing up. She's like, that can happen. So
sure.
She goes, I just need enough notice. And she goes, next time you do it, let me know. I'll be there. I was like, cool. So hopefully I'm going to try and do that more frequently. I haven't done that game as much, but maybe next month. Maybe we'll probably do it like once a month. We'll do a Jackbox get together.
Like a great idea.
So we'll bust that out. Plus there was one game we didn't get to just because we ran out of time. So, but it'll be a good time. So long story short, come check us out at twitch.tv/MindGapPodcast for all of your live streaming needs for podcast and video games. A good time. So excited. All right. Housekeeping is taken care of.
Done.
Let's start the show off with Jared says day drunk Jared could be there too. Awesome. That's all.
Why not?
I want to know.
Yeah.
Justin, what were you up to, man? Tell us where you been? What you been doing?
My wonderful wife, Beth, for my birthday that was back in July, booked me an Airbnb, a 4-day getaway it's a solo trip, just myself. And so I'm constantly with my 9 to 5, with 2 East 8, with Mind Gap, with everything else. I'm always going. I've got something I'm working on. I've got 20 different conversations going with, that many people. And she was like, you need to get away and just unplug and do nothing. Have no responsibilities, no nothing. And so she booked me a 4-day getaway up in Michigan. It was called Norton Shores, Michigan. And it's just above Grand Haven. And it was right near the lake. And I just sat and I did, did a lot, but I did nothing, which was amazing. So I got up there on a Monday and I went on a hike right away in one of their national parks up there. Fucking gorgeous. That Michigan's national parks make Illinois' national parks look like sandboxes. Like they're just stunning up there. Absolutely stunning. So I went on a hike on Monday, went on a hike on Tuesday. On Wednesday, I kicked the day off by I did 2 hours of kayaking just by myself in the morning. Started the morning off that way. Came back, did some riding, ate some lunch, and then went on another hike. And I spent so much time outdoors. And I had a couple. It was great because when you allow yourself to get out and unplug and just kind of let your mind drift, and we've talked about this in the podcast before, that's where creativity comes from. Oh, I can't hear you. Doug, I can't hear you. Oh, no.
There
Oh,
we go.
no.
How about now? There we go.
Thank God. Yes, now I can hear you.
I was like, man, we jinxed it before. We were talking about how it didn't work.
Did you hear me?
Oh yeah, I heard you just fine.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got real worried because I'm like, Doug's not saying anything.
Nope, we're good. Problem solved.
But no, like what I found what was interesting was like we've talked about it before is when you a lot of we have talked about where we think creativity is kind of stifled now because no one's ever bored anymore.
Yeah.
No one ever sits and just thinks or stares off into space or what. Everyone's constantly pulling their phone out or they're talking with someone or doing something. So again, in those 2 hours that I spent just floating on the water, like I had so many ideas come in, and I was the feature that Drew and I are working on. There was this scene that I couldn't break the scene, and the answer came in, and I was just like, this is amazing. Just getting away from everyone and all the responsibility is just it's renewing, man. It's fucking amazing.
Yeah. It's the fucking best, man. Like that's
Yeah.
one of the reasons why I love walking in the morning. Amongst other things, like I have to do it because my dog. But like I love that. Like that's when I listen to a lot of podcasts. That's when there's all sorts of stuff. Like sometimes like I find myself like thinking about other things and not paying attention to the podcast. I'm like, oh, this is when I need to shut it off. I used to be like, nope, I'm just gonna finish this. I'm like, nope, you're not listening, so just turn it off. And that's what I've done. But yeah, that's where I think of like story ideas and I'm working something out. Like it's the best. I love it.
It really is. Yeah.
I'm glad.
I came across. I told you the other day. I came across as it was coming from the city. You just don't see this. You walk by maybe some geese, in Grant Park, but I came across this flock of like 20 swans. These big, gorgeous pearl white swans, and I stopped paddling and I just floated, and we all kind of just stared at each other for like 5 minutes, and it was amazing. And I'm like, this is very, very low key nature, but it was still being immersed in nature. It was very cool. So
That's awesome.
It was a blast, man. I highly recommend it, and I will be something I'll be doing a little bit more regularly, I think, because well, you know me, I've never been. This is where you and I differ. You love being solo. You love being on your own and just letting yourself do whatever you want to do. Never have I ever been good on my own. I'm always looking for a friend to hang out with or someone to talk to, something to do. And so it's very uncomfortable for me to do this, but when you're forced to do it, when someone buys it for you as a gift, it makes you do it. And I realized, man, it has its fucking benefits.
For sure, man. Without a doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm very much okay with my alone time. Like, it's my dad was a hermit, and I've inherited those genes. I'm extremely comfortable on my own. Probably to a fault. I've gotten better over the years, but at one point, like early on in Jill and I's relationship, we broke up for a summer, and part of it was because I don't know. I just needed some time to myself, but because I wasn't emotionally mature, I just went into a hole for 4 days, turned off my phone, and for 4 days I just hung out by myself and read The Shining.
Sounds
by
amazing.
Stephen King, which is like a perfect book. And I just was like, for 4 days, I'm like, I didn't go anywhere. I ate, I cooked at my house. I just didn't do anything. And then finally, like, turned on my phone and just all sorts of messages from Jill, like, where the fuck are you? And I was just like, I didn't have a good answer. I was just like, I just wanted to be alone. She's like, for 4 days? You couldn't tell me what was going on? I was like, be alone.
It's so funny how different it is now, though, because I was thinking that, like, the true intention of me going up there was to fully unplug and to not have any access to social media, or like I was like, I'm really gonna go off the grid. But then I realized that I'm in a city I don't know. I need GPS. I need to be able to call or order some food. So like I did need to be connected, and it was just interesting, like how I feel like it's getting harder and harder to truly go off the grid like that, without just straight up deleting every app that you have on your phone. Just turning your phone off for 4 days it's not really an option anymore, at least. And I'm sure it absolutely is, and I'm probably being dramatic, but it really does feel like you almost can't get away with doing that anymore.
Well, I feel like there's different things you can do, right? Like you can turn on airplane mode and you can set that stuff. Because I mean, look, the phone is useful.
That only does so much, though.
It's true.
Still got through to me.
That's true, and I think a lot of that too comes down to some discipline. Definitely not implying you're not disciplined at all or anything like that.
Please imply.
It's just it's one of those things where I love just setting it down somewhere and then walking away from it. Leave it on, but just be like,
anxiety, man. It's weird.
Yeah, just being like, cool. I'm gonna go do something else. Slotty goes, that was such an implication, not implying anything. I don't have a lot of willpower with some of them. Yeah. But I am absolutely thrilled you got to do that. I've had some vacations recently. I've gone up to Michigan or Wisconsin and just had some time just to chill and relax. Yeah. It's been awesome. Like being able to actually get away and do some writing or whatever you want to do. Yeah. I'm glad you got to.
It was funny because as I was coming back to drop the car off on Thursday when I got back into the city, like I got stuck in traffic, and then I had pedestrians that were like jumping out of nowhere, and I had this thought: "Fuck everything! I just want to go back to the woods." Like it got so comfortable being around almost nobody, and it was just like coming back into the city was, even in 4 days, was like a culture shock. It was bizarre.
Yeah,
yeah,
that's awesome, man. I think it's something we don't prioritize enough. So, that amount of time to sort of just get away. And it's funny because if you would have asked me this, even 5 years ago, dude, we should go up to Michigan and I'd be like, why? Pre-Natalie, I'd be like, go fuck yourself. Like, I don't have any reason. Jill was just telling me recently, she was like, oh man, it'd be so great, or it was years ago. She goes, we should go out to the Pacific Northwest and we can go to Seattle and Portland. And I was like, why? Do we know anyone up there? What are we going to do?
Right.
I was like, just walk around. And I just wasn't in the mindset to consider even doing that. And then now I was like, yeah, that'd be kind of fun. We could take Natalie, because a lot of it's around Natalie. Like, what would be fun to do with Natalie? What experiences can we get her? Which I think is really important for most of the things. So Wolf goes, how dare you? Hey, man, I'm open to it now. But years ago, I'd be like, why? It ain't Disney World, Well,
and that's the thing, too. I think back when I was in college and stuff, my friend group then would never even really want to go out into the city and do anything. It was always just why? Why have experiences? That's stupid. Yeah. And as we're older, I feel like Beth really helped pull me into that. And I feel like with Natalie, you recently got pulled into that too.
Yeah.
Is that, well, why not? Yeah, go to a city you don't know and just walk around. Mm-hmm. Guess what? Now you've been to that city. Everyone that's like, oh yeah, I've been to here, there, and everywhere. Now you can say that you've been there too, and you might meet someone cool or find a new favorite restaurant. I can tell you in Ann Arbor, Michigan, there's the best sandwich shop on the face of the earth is up there. How did I know that? We just walked around. Yeah,
I mean, and not to mention, they're talking in chat. This is a great opportunity to meet some other Mind Gap folks around the country.
There you go.
It's like, hey, I mean, full disclosure, I have a work trip coming up, and at one point, they were strongly considering Seattle, and the first thing I thought of was like, I'm pretty sure Tint and Wolf live in Seattle. I was like, that immediately it was like, well, if we go there, I know what I'm doing. Like, I'm gonna go, meet up with those guys. We're not going there; we're going somewhere else. But I was like, yeah, man, like, I get excited where I'm like, who's around? Because it would be cool to meet up with some folks, which would be really, really fun. So
for sure, absolutely. And as great a time as I had when I came back, I thought of this as a sign. So yesterday, we recorded this on Tuesday. Yesterday was Monday, first day back after a week off, and I had this wonderful, just magical experience. And I'm moving stuff off my desk to make room to set up my work computer. And I moved a pile of papers, Doug, very manly, ruggish thing to do, and threw out my back.
Oh, no.
I went hiking. I went kayaking. I was doing all these outdoors things. I came home. I started moving papers off my desk, and my back went out. And I was like,
my back hurts. My back hurts.
My back hurts. My back hurts. That's a throwback. Only 3 people in the world know that one. But yeah, I was like, if this isn't a sign that I don't need to work at this job anymore, and I just need to be outside. I was like, that's a pretty, to me, I was like, I get it. I hear you. Forces of the universe. I get it.
I make that such a priority to get up throughout the day. Like I try to walk at least. I walk in the morning and I try to walk over lunch. Just I realized how bad just sitting in my chair all day is. It kills my hips. It kills my lower back. It's not good. So I try to move as much throughout the day, because I think back all the times where I was just in this chair all day. It's funny because like I'm a psycho now about tracking just my activity. Like
you are.
I'm almost ashamed to admit it, but I got an Apple Watch. Like,
yo, look at you, Doug.
But I did it for fitness because like it tracks so many things that I want to track. And for if you're wondering,
I see the watch.
Fucking got my fitness goals for the day, motherfuckers. I got this because I was like, it's so great to track just what it is I'm doing and sleeping and things like that. It's been really important to me. And one of those things is like, you can set goals for, are you moving at least 3 minutes every hour just to move around? It tracks that for you. It tracks the minutes that you spend working out. It tracks the calories that you burn throughout the day. And it's empowering me with data so that like I know like what I'm doing, and it keeps track of it. And I've gotten kind of psycho about the metrics of things like that. I got a scale.
You gotta dig in.
I got a scale that connects to my Bluetooth and records like all that stuff every day, which is like, I'm like, hey, this is good. I need to know this so I can kind of track my progress and things. Sure. And for the record, using the Center app, by the way, still love it. I last night was just kind of going through like every week. It kind of goes like, Monday through Sunday of like setting up, like I go through my food and everything like that, like what I'm planning my meals and just seeing what the workouts were. Yeah. And I've been doing this intermediate weightlifting routine, and I was clicking through something. I happened to click on the programs button. I was like, oh, what's this? And it was like, I don't know the name of the program I was doing, but this one was like, this is Center Power. I'm like, what's Center Power? It's like, do you want to do the program that Chris Hemsworth did? I'm like, oh, what? Wait, what? What's this one?
You.
It's like, are you ready to stop being a pussy? You ready to do the real man stuff? And I was like, huh? What? I was looking through it. It's like, oh, this is a real weightlifting program. Are you ready? You ready, Doug? And I was like,
is it bonkers?
I guess I'll start doing this. It's like a full-on 10-week program of like 3 weeks you do this, 3 weeks you do this, 3 weeks you do this, and then you get like an off week where you're still doing stuff. And I did the first 2 workouts this week. Holy shit.
A little bit different, huh?
Holy shit. Like I looked at everything I did, like when I started lifting in May until when I started doing this in September, I was like, okay, that was one phase. And then for like the last 5 or 6 weeks, I've been doing this weight program, which is good. Now I'm like, okay, now we're getting started. Like that was all warm up to this. And yesterday was chest and today was legs. And I was like, fuck me. Like this is no joke. This is no joke. Awesome. But I feel really good at like I was doing it. And I was like, God damn! Like, and they're like 30 to 35 minutes. That's it. But
that's the thing that blows my mind. And I don't want to go too far down and make this the fitness podcast again. But the thing that blows my mind about these is that in my head, I've always had it that if you're not doing, an hour and a half to 2 hours a day, you're not fucking working out. You got to spend your day in the gym. And these workouts, some of them are like 50 minutes or something like, but the vast majority are like 25 to 35 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm like, that is not a lot of commitment.
Yeah.
You can do that.
Well, that's also what for me, I'm like, oh, this is so easy to do. Like, as far as like committing time to it, I'm like, fuck yeah. And honestly, like the hour and a half to 2 hour, like in one session, that's for like elite athletes. Like that's not,
that's for The Rock.
Yeah, exactly. Like that guy is going to be doing that shit. And for me, this is perfect. Plus I also work into it. I walk at least 5 miles a day, like just from the 2 walks that I do, plus whatever I'm doing, just moving throughout the day. So, but yeah, dude, I
was pissed yesterday because I just got back into it after my week off.
Yeah.
And I did my workout in the morning, and then I came in, showered, got everything ready. I started moving shit, back went out. I'm like, God damn it. I was so ready to get back into this.
Motherfucker. Yeah. So I'm excited to see.
Feeling great.
This, they said I started at the intermediate level, but like if you start a beginner and you do this program to a T, you will see drastic results in 7 to 8 months. And I was like,
shit.
All right. I was like, let's see where we are after 10 weeks. I calculated out. I was like, if I don't miss anything, by the end of the year, I will finish this intermediate program of 10 weeks. I'm like, all right, let's see where we get. In 10 weeks. And it is wild, ladies and gentlemen. It is a wild, and I love every second of it. It is intense weightlifting. It's exactly what I want it to be. It's 6 days a week, 2 of which are optional, but I'm going to do them because I'm fucking in it to win it. So
do it.
Yeah, I'm excited. So
that's awesome, man.
Yeah.
I'm excited for you.
Yeah. So
I'm excited to watch this journey unfold.
Yeah, me too. I'm curious to see what will happen. But I'm also curious because we ended last week's podcast with Wolf with a dilemma that was posed by Slotty. It was a little time travel dilemma. And I want to revisit again with you because as Wolf and I were breaking it down, I was like, I can't not have this conversation with Justin. Like I have to get his take on this because it's just too good. It's too good.
Yeah.
So
now, for full transparency, I have not listened to last week's episode, so
nice.
I don't know where you stand on this. I don't know where anyone. So I'm coming into this fresh.
All right, cool. So here is the question. The question is, and apologies for revisiting this, but fuck all you. This is about Justin and me. So here's the deal. You've got a pill in each hand, and your left hand is a red pill. And when you take this pill, you restart your life at the age of 10 with all of the knowledge that you have now. In your other hand, you have a blue pill. If you take this, you jump to 45 years old with $50 million in the bank. Based on that information, which pill would you take and why?
Okay. So we're going to talk this through.
Talk me through it, baby.
So as I was pondering this, my initial gut reaction, and I was very certain that I was going to go this way, until right now when you asked it to me again, and I was like, oh, wait a second, something I hadn't thought about. So I got to talk this through with you. My initial reaction when I was super certain yesterday was to take the red pill, go back to when I was 10, with the knowledge that I have up to this point. The reason, well, let me ask you a qualifying question with that. Do I go back to 1993?
You go back.
Am I 10 years old now?
You go back to when you were 10 years old, so you go back to 1993.
Got it. Okay, cool. Then I would do this. So initially I was like, done, doing that. That's what it is. And the reason being, I'm like, I could have so much more than $45 million. So, or whatever it was, $50 million. My God, like, just be like, hey, mom, dad, I'd like to, I'd like to invest. I'm curious about this. Let's buy, I don't know, let's buy this thing Apple. And then just sit. Like, there's so many things that you could do to game that. Knowing what you're interested in now and starting that journey back then, and just there's so many different things that could set you on a path to set yourself up to holy God, and you've got all that extra time again, and you don't have to make the same mistakes that you made. There are definitely things in my life that I would love to retcon, and I would get the chance to do it. I'd be like, we're saying no to this thing because that was a bad idea, and to this day you still think back and it haunts you. Now, I was very certain of that, but that being said, there's no guarantee that if you do that, this podcast probably wouldn't exist. I wouldn't be married to my wife. I would never have met, Drew. There's a good chance that all of that all the stuff that's good in my life would be completely different or would not have happened. So. I had not thought of that because it was all I was thinking about was the financial returns. I'm like, oh my God, like I could go back and I could make 10 times the amount of money that I would have at 45. So with that, I am now I'm way less confident than I was. I'll say that.
Okay.
Now with those explanations, you said that you thought you knew how I was going to go. Did you, in my explanations or in my thinking through thus far, am I on track with where you thought I was going?
You've checked some boxes. Yeah. And I'm gonna add a couple more boxes. I don't think you've fully taken into consideration. So
bring them on.
So part of the thing is the initial thought is like, oh yeah, I'll just go back in time. I'll invest in Amazon and life will be great.
Sure.
But what you don't realize is that you will be a child who is now trying to convince your parents to invest in something. And somehow you have this knowledge. And I wouldn't listen to my child who was 10 years old. It's like, Dad, you gotta invest in this thing.
But if your child came to you and just said, hey, they were talking about stocks and stuff, could we invest $100 in something? And then when they see that pay off in dividends, then you start like I thought about that last night too.
It's possible.
I was like, I feel like you could start. You have the time. You could start low, and get them and work it in there.
I would not be able to convince my parents of doing it. I'll tell you that right now. There's no way in hell I would have been able. My
circumstantially, it was a different.
My parents, no way, no how would they have ever listened to me do that. So that would have been 100% fail. Something else to consider: if you go back to when you're 10 years old, you have all the knowledge that you have now, but you are 10. You are 10 years old. You have a bedtime. You cannot drive. You have all these experiences, and you have to go. Justin, you're starting in 5th grade again, and you have to go back to school again.
True. But let me counter that.
Just
counter that,
please.
With if I have the knowledge of a 38-year-old, I'm pretty sure I can figure out how to sneak out. I'm pretty sure I can outsmart. Because you got to think: are your parents about that age? Are you coming into this with the knowledge of someone older than your parents?
Probably. Or you're roughly the same age.
It's far too much math for me to do. But
which is probably why you should go back, Justin, because you'll go through those math classes again. You'll get another chance, you know? You'll get another chance to go through it. What I'm saying, so your objective would be to skip school all the time?
Oh, yeah.
There's no way you get away with that.
I've done it, Doug.
Okay, perpetually? You're going to have to get grades, Justin.
I'll figure it out.
You won't have a transcript? You're just somehow going to be like, you'd have to go through 5th grade, junior high, high school, all over again. But with what you have now, you'll have to deal with homecoming, prom, all that bullshit.
And you knew how it went before, and my God, wouldn't you love to game the system and change it?
I would be bored out of my fucking mind, Justin. I would be so bored.
Dude, you could run some sort of you could become the king of whatever school you were at. You know.
Whoopity-doo.
I'm just saying, man.
The king of Kirksville High School. Whoopity-doo.
Right. Hasn't that always been a dream of yours?
No. Absolutely not. I would have to go back.
You can have fun with it.
It's just the idea of all of the freedom that I have now would get just ripped away from me.
True.
And I would be back in this 10-year-old body just going to fucking 5th grade, having to sit through all this, having to talk to 5th graders with all the knowledge that I have now, trying to create those social connections. I'd be like, what the fuck are we doing here? You know?
Well, here's an interesting, because I was just about to say, dude, you could level up. You would go back to 10 years old and you would trounce 5th graders. You would have at least a base knowledge of what you guys were covering. You would test up. You would probably skip ahead a couple grades. But as I'm saying that, I'm arguing against myself now. All those friendships that you had, that you cherished when you were younger, you're leveling up, so you're getting out of those grades. So it really would be a different, a whole different.
Almost immediately, experience. As soon as you got back there, your path would slowly start diverging from originally what it would. Would it be really great to go back and sort of get one up on those pieces of shit, you know, during that time? Absolutely. But there's no guarantee. If it's just about wealth, there's no guarantee that you're going to earn that wealth. And I would not sacrifice the opportunity to meet Jill and have Natalie. I absolutely would. So my theory on this, because a lot of people in our Discord were like, fuck that, I'm going back to 10 years old. Most of those folks were younger than us. are younger than us.
Okay. All right.
Some of them are in their mid-20s.
Did they take the blue pill and now they're older than us?
Some are late 20s or whatever. I'm like, I'm 38. I'll be 39 in February. I'll jump ahead 6 years and take $50 million and retire. That's bye.
The only reason I struggle to say that is because you know my relationship with death and aging.
Yeah, dude, but for a cool $50 million, all price to pay.
I don't know, man.
Well, the super shitty part for me is like I skipped 6 years of Natalie's life.
That's true.
Natalie is almost 12 by the time this transaction is done. And I'm like, fuck, you know, like I miss all of that. But I also stopped working.
Buy those years back, man.
I stopped working and I retire. Like immediately, I'm like, bye. I'm done with whatever I'm doing. Because
I think she goes from 6, or she was from 5 to 12, right? Or 5 to, where is she now?
She's almost 6. She'll be 6 in February. So,
cool. So let's say this deal didn't go through until February. You jump to 12. You still got time to devote your entire, like if you could, it would suck to miss those years. But if you're retiring, you can devote all your time to having those experience.
Yeah. It would, that sucks because
I like what Tint says though, is crush both pills and mix them into a protein smoothie.
Yeah.
Yeah, bro.
Yeah. So there's definitely some downsides to it, but the idea of at 38 having to go back 28 years versus if I'm 22, you're like, oh, you have to go back 12 years. I'm much more inclined to do that than jump ahead to 45 when I'm 22. It's like, no.
Who you're going to spend your life with, and if you haven't established whatever,
Someone was like, why would I give up the prime years of my life? And I was like, how do you know those are the prime years of your life? But you'll never know. So, but the point being that, I'm way closer to 45. I'm like, I'll take 6 years. No problem. I don't want to go back 28 and relive all that shit. Because the other question is like, what if another stipulation addendum was that you had to go through the exact same thing that you went through? Like you had to follow the exact same course. Like you go back to 10 and you come right back to where you were.
Well, then no, there'd be no purpose. I feel like that poisons the game because there's no, or that taints the game. There's no reason to do. Like if you're gonna end up right back where you were and you don't have the power to affect any change, then what's the point in going back and
or maybe for a certain period of time you have to follow, like you follow the same path. Because I'm sitting there just thinking like, oh, you're telling me I have to go back to the hotel all over again? I was like, I don't want to do that.
Well, you don't have to, Doug.
It's like, I don't want to.
Mind, you're thinking of it in a very linear fashion.
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
Have to, yeah.
I essentially was creating my own nightmare with that. I was like, cool, you can go back, and then you're knowing that I have to go to the hotel. It's like, you're gonna be here for 6 long years, buddy. Have fun, you know. What
I think would be, oh fuck, man, we might need to offline. Okay, I'm gonna start this right now. This is copyrighted idea, this IP that we're about to discuss, so no one take it. I think that works. It's like mailing yourself a letter. It's copyrighted.
Do a fart. Right? Do a fart noise. That makes it official.
There we go. Done. So, what a great tragic story to tell from a dramatic side is the person that chooses that red pill goes back, realizes too late that they might not meet the same their lives going to be a little screwed up, and then they do everything, they claw their way to try to have the exact same experiences, and things just keep going awry, and they keep getting further and further. They keep veering further off the path. I feel like that would be a really interesting, dramatic or tragic time travel story to tell.
Yeah, it's kind of like the Butterfly Effect, that movie.
Oh shit, I forgot about that movie. Does he try to get back to what is I can't even remember what that movie's about.
He's trying to have this great relationship with this girl, and he finds a way to be able to go back in time and affect certain events, but every time he does and comes back, it's a different outcome. And every time he goes back, he makes it more and more crazy. Worse. Yeah, he makes it worse. So, yeah.
The only thing I remember from that movie is the heavyset actor slamming his hand onto one of the paper, the thing you used to put receipts on.
Mm-hmm.
Or Ashton. Someone slammed their hand.
Yeah, he does that as a way to because he uses pain that allows him to sort of transfer back. So, yeah.
That's the only thing I remember from that.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
Okay, well that's cool.
Yeah.
Man, I guess. All right, you know what? You've convinced me. I guess because of my current age, I suppose I would take the blue pill. It would suck to jump forward in time, and miss certain, like, because you have a kid. I would probably wake up and my dog would be gone. I would have missed any sort of the other whatever events, but it would be probably better in the end. In the end, it would probably be net better to take that blue pill, jump ahead 6 years, have 50 million in the bank, and then be like, cool, now let's have some fun.
Right. Now,
because the thing is, you're still young enough. I feel like times have changed. When we were younger and we looked at 45, it seemed ancient. Now I'm just like, I feel like ages have changed, man. Look at Clooney.
Yeah,
that
right.
guy's just fucking rocking and rolling in his 60s.
Yeah, right. Crazy. Yeah. It's crazy. Well, cool. Thank you for exploring that with me. The whole time I was like, I got to come back. I got to come back and talk about this with Justin. So
what I got to ask, what was Slotty's? He brought it up, so I'm assuming he weighed in.
Actually, I don't remember what Slotty's response was.
Slotty, if you're in the chat here, let us know.
I think I want to say, I don't know. He didn't weigh in too much, actually. So, yeah, I'd be curious.
He's weighing in quite a bit on the chat. I'm just kind of going back and reading.
And I float this to the listener as well.
Like what he put here. Does your family have to get by on a single income during those 6 years that you jump forward?
I'm assuming you're not there, so
interesting.
Your family doesn't jump with you. So.
Yeah. Do they? Oh, here's another. You want to throw a little twist in there? Does your family feel like you've abandoned that? Are you gone for 6 years of their life, and so do you lose them in that time?
Question.
Thing
to consider.
Have they mourned you, and now you're coming back out of nowhere?
They're like, guess what? I got $50 million. Yeah.
And
big difference.
She's like, guess what? I've got a new husband.
Right. I moved on. So, yeah. Complications for sure. But, so to the listener, I pose this to you too. Reach out to us on our social medias at MindGap Podcast, or shoot us an email, mindgappodcast@gmail.com, or head into our Discord and weigh in. Let us know. What do you think? Would you take the red pill, take all the knowledge you have now and go back to your 10-year-old self and go from there? Or would you take the blue pill, go ahead to 45 years old and get that cool $50 million? What would you do? We've all fantasized about taking what we have now and going back to a moment in time, but which one would you commit to? Tough.
Now, here's an interesting thought too. If you're not to, I know you guys covered this, ad nauseum last week, but let's say you're posing this question to someone who's 47 years old. Like, for this 45-year-old number is kind of an arbitrary number based off of where we all are in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
Is it better to say, like,
I'll go back 2 years and get $50 million?
Right? Okay.
I don't think that question was for anyone that was over 40, is my guess.
Yeah.
But
I'm like, is it just in general, you're jumping ahead? Let's say you're jumping ahead 10 years or 15 years, or you're jumping backwards 15 years.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a different way of putting it.
Yeah. Slotty says he'd go back to 10. He'd be willing to take that risk. Try to do it better. So, yeah, if you got thoughts on it, weigh in. We'd love to hear from you.
Great fucking thought.
I love it, man. Yeah, Slotty, thank you. It was an Ask Practical Doug kind of like thing. It's like, but it turned into this big discussion, which I loved. And I was like, we got to talk about this. So it's
any
great.
more of those, like, would you rather type things? If you guys have, like, weigh in on this one, but if you guys have more of those too, I fucking love these would you rather things, except the one that Doug brings up every time. That's the only one I won't.
Oh, there's good ones. Good gross ones. But, same for your anniversary. The other thing I want to talk about tonight is, I know this is some people, I think maybe I'm projecting a little bit, but, some people in our community are sort of meh about the Critical Role, the Dungeons & Dragons podcast and production. But I finally got caught up.
They brought it up to people and they've been mad about it?
I think some people, I think Noah in particular was like, he was just sort of like meh about it. And other folks had suggested other D&D podcasts.
Specifically not about D&D.
No. Okay. Noah's very much on board with D&D.
That's what I thought. Okay.
So some folks have been kind of like, I think it's because it's so popular that some people are like, yeah, whatever, it's fine. There's some better stuff out there. And I'm sure there is. I'm sure there are some great people who have suggested some wonderful things. But yeah. I became very into Critical Role. As I started playing Dungeons and Dragons, I started listening to Critical Role, which was a huge benefit to me to learn how to play, which in my opinion was like watching the best of the best play the game and DM the game. But I just finally got caught up. I finished Campaign 2. I finished listening to Exandria Unlimited. Like, I'm fully up to speed, which is perfect timing because Campaign 3 for them starts this Thursday, October 21st, live on Twitch, and also premiering in some select Cinemark theaters, like as well, like their initial premiere, which I think is really cool. So I'm just excited because I'm going to be watching this, like, or listening to this as it's actually happening, which is as opposed to just like getting caught up, which in a way is kind of nice because I was just like, on to the next episode. I have to wait. Right. But I also missed out on the zeitgeist of like, what's happening and what do you think about this? And, sort of experiencing it in real time is very cool. But, one, that's cool because Campaign 3 starts very, very, very soon. But also, there was an article in Variety that came out recently that I thought was really, really cool.
This article low-key blew my mind when you sent it.
It was really, really cool. That sort of just broke down everything that's going on with these guys, in particular, how they've sort of created this D&D fantasy empire. And if you don't already know, they are making their own animated show. Like, it's actually debuting on Amazon in February. And just the more I listen to and sort of dive into the Critical Role, like, zeitgeist, just the more blown away I am by the fact that these guys created their own world. Matt Mercer, Dungeon Master, he's also the voice actor. All these folks are voice actors. But he's
look at you.
What's that? Yeah, you like what I'm doing?
I didn't even notice. Sorry, I was
that's
looking
cool, man.
at the actual article on my screen, so I had navigated away. Look at you, all fancy.
I'm trying, man. I'm trying to make this a more enjoyable experience. Levine 23, Critical Role is such an amazingly weekly ritual in my life. I'm quite proud of them all. Me too. Like, first of all, welcome to the show. Nice to have you here. Thanks for hanging out with us. I don't know how to say this other than, like, I think they are genuinely good people. They seem extremely humble, and they are very creative. They have a really great tight-knit group of people, and to me, it is a good and a bad thing because watching and listening to them, it is, in my opinion, that's the best you're going to get. As far as just quality, as far as people who are trained actors, who are going to commit, they cry, like they just are super vulnerable. They're creative, they're funny, they're intelligent, and then you have a dungeon master who is super fucking intelligent, creative, understands the game, and builds this amazing world for his players to play in. And they're all super talented voice actors, so they just Matt Mercer's just all these different characters, different accents, and just like nails it every single time. It's unbelievable.
I think the thing that blew me away when I was reading that article is realizing that they didn't all come from an improv background.
No.
Like the one, I don't know all of them individually, but there was one of the people in that article was saying that they hadn't done improv. They were just like, I don't know the rules of improv, but we're just going to go ahead and we're going to do this as a group and we're all going to figure it out together. And I haven't listened anywhere near what you have, but you've sent me a couple episodes and clips and stuff to watch. And from what I've seen, it's very impressive. It's not like you're going to see an improv show where they're ripping them, real quick and fast. And it's, oh my God, how are they doing this? They definitely take their time, but to build the kind of detailed story that they're building, like it just goes to show the talent. If you have no improv training and you can do that, that's fucking incredible. Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, it's what's most important to me, or like just amazing to me, because this has been such an inspiring story because I've had stories that I just have never gotten out of my head and onto paper. And, this all started with them they were doing a game in their house.
Right.
And they happened to be friends with Felicia Day, who ran Geek and Sundry. and a website that was full of nerd stuff, and she just kind of approached them and said, "Hey, how about you guys stream this on our Twitch channel?" And they're like,
the pioneers of internet nerd culture.
Absolutely.
Like, such a internet nerd entertainment culture.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And she, was like, "You guys should come on." They're like, "I don't know if anyone's going to want to watch us do Dungeons and Dragons, And it became a huge hit. Like, just people were just watching, and this was in 2015. They started doing this, and it became a thing. They made it all the way through campaign 1, which was 3 years. And then, at some point, their contract with Geek and Sundry ran up in 2018. They decided to go out on their own, and they just started, they kept building and building and building, the point where they have their own merch. They have their own board game. They have their own comics. They have just countless things. And now they have their own animated television show based off the stuff that they built. And guess what? You have the trained voice actors who are going to be revisiting those characters.
Built right in. And
playing them. And it's just, it's mind-blowing to me, just because something else too is, each one of these episodes is on average 3.5, 4 hours long. Like, these are not short things, and people consume this content at a ravenous rate. Like, it is unbelievable.
And didn't they say that they were, for season 1 of this animated series, it's The Legend of Vox Machina, I think is what it's called. For the first season, they're revisiting campaign 1, right? And they're pulling from that. And one of the people in the guild, I guess, right? They said that. Is that not right?
No, but it's cool. It works.
I thought that's what. Because cool. We'll talk more details about what I just said offline. You'll have to explain to me what I said. No, just one of the people had said that they were so overwhelmed to do right by the audience, because they were like, these campaigns take us years, literally years to complete. And each episode's 3+ hours, and there is so much fucking story that how do you pare that down to a 22-minute episode and not piss everyone off because you missed their favorite bit from that first campaign? Or
whatever. They were talking about how they had to cut stuff out, and they also were like, we're not going to retell this straight. Like, they're going to be deviations from what we did too,
Right.
But it's I am just like. Because the best thing was they did a Kickstarter for $750,000.
This blows my mind, man.
Because they were going to do a 30-minute animated thing. Within 30 minutes, it was funded. And ultimately, they ended up with $11 million.
That's fucking insane. 88,000 people donated.
Yes. And they were just like, they kept going like, we got to come up with stretch goals. And then they're like, they said it was like a double-edged sword, because they're like, awesome, we're getting on this. And they're like, oh my God, we have all this other stuff we have to do. Like, we have to come up with stretch goals, and then we have to deliver on those things. It's like, holy fucking shit. Like, what do we do? And then what I love in there is, like, they were pitching this. They were working with a production studio called Titmouse, and they were trying to, like, pitch this to other studios and stuff. And the studios were just really like, so this is a show about you guys playing Dungeons and Dragons? They're like, no, it's animated. They didn't get it. Right. But as soon as this Kickstarter generated $11 million, everyone came back and they were interested, because they were like, cool, there's obviously a very interested fan base, that it's one of those things where they're like, we want to try and expand on this. Levine 23 says, yeah, as one of those donors, it was a crazy time. That's amazing, because again, I missed all of this because I just started really in the last year or so listening to the podcast and getting caught up. So I had no idea what was going on with it. I can only imagine how crazy they would have been to donate, to be a part of it, and just see like the constant like influx of stuff. And then to hear that Amazon was like, we're ordering 2 seasons, 24 episodes. Like, it's absolutely mind-boggling.
Well, and Titmouse, who they partnered with, I mean, my God, talk about a great, like, they do Big Mouth, and they did that Star Trek one for Paramount Plus, and a whole bunch. If you look through their shit, like a bunch of stuff for Adult Swim, they're partnering with a wonderful fucking company.
Yeah.
And the fact that they thank God they had people come back to the table.
Yeah.
You know, and want to get into this.
Levine23 says, you were just refreshing like a mad person on Kickstarter for a month. How high could it go? Like, and again, I can only imagine what it means on their end to be like, people want this so bad. Like, and they were like, okay. And they're so humbled. They're so kind. And there's, the fact that they would sell out theaters for people to come and watch them play Dungeons and Dragons,
man. Right? Like they're doing what this is. I think it was when we were talking with Tex.
Mm-hmm.
It was just kind of what he was talking about. We've touched on it in other episodes, but you do what you love to do. Be truthful in what you're making, and there may be no one that listens. There may be no one that ever finds it, but you're still doing it because you like doing it. Best case scenario, people see that. They see that it's authentic, and they're like, "There's something People find authenticity. If they know that it's canned and it's fucking weird, they're gonna sniff that out. People can sniff that out like nothing. If it's authentic and it's truly what you love doing, this is what can happen. It won't always happen, but this can happen. And
exactly. That's what's been most inspiring to me is just that they keep going with this. And what I loved about the article too is, they're not in this for the money. They're in this to create stuff. And I think, which is amazing to me too, because all these players, like they had to take on official corporate roles. Like, fucking Travis Willingham is like the CEO, which I was like, wait, what? He's the CEO of this. Okay. This guy's amazing. I didn't peg him as a CEO of this corporation like that. They have a team of 40 people. They have a full production studio. They have a set, which I sent you a video today of like, they spent all this money updating their set, and it was just so cool to see what they've been getting into. And, it's amazing to me too, because, recently there was a Twitch breach, and part of that, someone had leaked out financial information, meaning like who were all the payouts that went to, different streamers. And the number one most paid out Twitch stream of 2020 was Critical Role, and they made just under $10 million. That's
crazy. Which
blew my mind, because I was going through it. I was like, oh, I don't even know who most of the streamers are, but I was like, cool. And the number one is like Critical Role, and I was like, wait, what? I think it blew a lot of people's minds. Like a lot of people were like, wait, how much? And those are subs. Like, I'm sure some of that is also ads and stuff that they get put on there, whatever. But
if you think about that too, that's just on Twitch.
Yeah.
That's not their YouTube revenue. That's not their merchandise revenue.
Their podcast revenue. Like sponsorships.
That's fucking bonkers that they are making that much money doing playing.
Yeah.
They're making that much money playing.
And they don't take that for granted. I know they don't take that for granted. And I know some people, I guess there was a little bit of backlash from some people because they were like, holy shit. I think they were like, oh, this is this indie group of people that are making this thing. And when they realized how much money they made, I think for some of them, it was just sort of like, I don't know, a weird sense of disillusionment of like, wait, you're making that much? Like, it just, I guess it turned some people off. But for me, when I saw the video they released today about how they were rebuilding their sets and seeing what they're putting their money into, investing in things like board games, comic books, hiring a full fucking crew of people to film their shit, like
partnering with the official D&D company and making its own expansions and stuff. Like, come on, but that's the thing is everyone loves what they love until they find out it's gotten too successful. Like that's the celebrity or the success culture, is that we want to build you up to a point and then we get to take you back down.
Yeah.
Because you've gotten too successful by our standards now. The standards that we gave you to make you successful, we're going to now use those against you and bring you back down. And it's, I don't, there's nothing wrong with it, man. Like they're doing what they're doing. So they're making a ton of money. Great. Do you like what they're producing? Great. Then shut up, keep consuming, and move on.
Well, I remember,
I don't understand why people, and I don't want to interrupt, but
no, I was interrupting you. I'm the dick.
The larger thing about art.
Yeah.
Like people don't ever want to admit that art has value. It's like, keep giving, keep creating, keep giving me things to entertain myself. But I'm sorry, you want me to pay for this thing? I don't know about that. Okay, well then I'm going to stop making it. How could you stop making it? Everyone loves it. Well then pay us. I don't want to pay you. Like, it's this weird cyclical argument that just that it's never ending. And I don't understand why people have such a hard time placing value on entertainment and art that they consume. If you're consuming it, you pay for a burger, you consume the burger. If you're consuming entertainment, you've got to pay for it. It costs money to make.
It's so weird because it's a weird thing to consume. It's a weird commodity because a burger you can feel. You eat it, you enjoy it, you taste it, you digest it. Like, you get all of that sort of stuff. Whereas, like, watching a show, you get enjoyment out of it, but it's such an intangible thing. And I've always had a problem with that ever since I dabbled in the music business and, people just stealing music left and right or, anything like that, how people were just willing to do that. I was like, I firmly believe in, paying an artist what they're owed. I get really, really concerned about even just using a thumbnail from someplace. Like, I'm like, who took this picture? I want to give them credit.
Absolutely,
because I don't want to, someone was able to use their camera to take a photo that I can't take.
Right.
That I am no good at. Yet, I want to make sure that they get the credit and they get that sort of stuff. So, for something like this, I was like, are you enjoying what they're putting together? Are you enjoying this story that Matthew Mercer is writing and telling, and that the whole crew is improvising because it's a story they're telling together? Like, when you hear about all the work that goes into it, like the fact that based on what the players do, Matt, one of my favorite things is the wrap up of campaign 2. They're like, what if we would have done this? He goes, you would have gone down a completely different path that I had planned out that I just scrapped because you went this completely different way.
Sure. Yeah.
And he's like, as a DM, you can't flesh everything out or you'll lose your mind because you can't count. And that was my problem. I'm still learning to be a dungeon master, but like, I was like trying to plan for everything. You can't plan for everything. You got to have a rough idea.
Right.
And then you got to roll with it. And when you see just like, they're telling this beautiful story and with these characters and you get so attached to them and you're like, oh my God. And then God forbid one of them dies and you feel it.
Right.
There was a character that died in campaign 2 and everyone was like, oh no. It was gut wrenching.
What's going to happen?
You know, like there were these moments where you're like, people almost died and they're like, oh, the stakes feel real. You know?
It's not like one of those things where, and I think that's the big difference is you're playing a game to like, oh, okay, we'll make an exception because we want to keep going or we want to, and in this, it's like, no, you rolled wrong and you're out.
My favorite part was when that character died and Matthew Mercer just, did his thing. He goes, all right, this character hits you. You are dying. Do you have any last words? Basically, I'm giving you your turn to say your last things before you die.
Right, because this character has to stop speaking now because
a giant blade was just driven into his chest on the ground, and the player was like, I spit in his face. He's like, and you watch as he spits in his face as he dies, and the player got up and walked away from the table. You could tell he was really upset because
interesting.
It was his character, like that was it, and at that stage of the game, they didn't have the ability to bring him back to life. So that was it. It was over, and that's a very real part of this game. Like,
from a technical standpoint, does that real person
die in real life? Yes.
Is that how it works, man?
It's like the Matrix. You die in the game, you die in real life.
That's high stakes, baby.
We're invested. This is like some Squid Game shit, I'm
telling you, man. Don't fuck around with Matt Mercer. No, do they have ancillary characters that then a new character joins the group? Like,
great question.
Or is this person do they have to take their ball and go home?
Well,
they can't sit at the table anymore.
This person wasn't there for several weeks.
No
and
shit.
Then they created a new character and they were integrated back into the game. And, it depends, right? Because they'll see if they can make it work. If it's late in the campaign, that may be it, man. They may not be there. They have some guest people come by and do some guest spots and whatever. And, it's wild. And sitting there listening to it, it's just, I've never watched the show live or anything like that. I've always just listened on the podcast, and I'm there, just mentally, just listening to them describe stuff and things are happening, the conversations, and it's just so well done. And I just keep going back to the fact that this is a game they were playing in a dining room.
Right.
Game they were playing in a dining room that someone was like, why don't you go stream this? And people found it, they glommed onto it, and they've experienced it, and it's grown to a wonderful state that I am just gushing over this, because this is something that I guess if I can be vulnerable, I hope I can do something like this someday. That I can create something, a story that can be enjoyed. And what was crazy was in the limited series they did, Exandria Unlimited, Matthew Mercer, who created this entire universe, stepped away from the DM position, let someone else DM a story in his world. And this woman said it was terrifying to basically be like, I'm going to go, not only am I going to play in your world, you are going to play in the world that you created, but I'm telling you the story in the world that you created.
Oh, so Matt Mercer didn't just peace out for a couple of weeks. He actually joined.
He was a player, and he played in that world, and she was using the universe that he had created, and it was amazing. It was so cool to watch. And they said in their breakdown that he goes, it was extremely surreal.
Yeah, I'm sure.
To play in a world that I created that someone else was DMing. He was like, it was.
You think about, too, how actors always talk about how they get attached to these characters. Like in movie actors, film actors, or TV actors. They're playing this character for so long, or they're immersed in this world, and they find ways to connect themselves with it. And, a lot of people say that there's like this catharsis that goes along with it, to where maybe it lines up to where this character's going through something I was actually going through at the time, and I was able to work through that. And there's a lot of these weird stories. You're filming, you get the script, you prep, you film for 3-4 months, maybe 5-6 months in a bigger movie. And then you start to shed the character, then you do press and everything. But you're maybe only really with that character, for most actors, I would say, for maybe a year. These people have been with these characters for 6 years. And so living in this world. So really, to think about, to go like, oh, it's just a game that they're pretending and this and that. Like, why is it so? You've got to think you are literally living in this world on a weekly basis on a very real level. So it is, to hand that off to someone, that is like handing a piece of your soul off to someone.
Right.
It's just, it's hard to imagine unless you've really created something. And even I, and probably you, can't imagine the depth of how hard that actually is. You know?
Not at all. Vine says, memorable show. Campaign 1 had deaths, but those could sometimes be fixed with resurrections, but those are a whole wild trip. Absolutely. And Jared says, is this how George Lucas feels watching other people make Star Wars stories? I had the same thought, right? Like, you created this world, this universe, and then other people are playing in it. But here's the thing. George Lucas isn't an actor in the movie that you're making about Star Wars. In this situation,
only because someone told him no.
You can't do it. And they're like, legally, you can't be on the set, sir. Not again.
Please leave the set.
Yeah, I don't care if you want a hoagie. You go somewhere else, all right?
George.
Not again. But, in this world, I mean, I was thinking the same thing. I was like, how crazy is it that you are DMing for the guy who created this, and he's just playing it? But, of course, Matt is such a humble person, and he was just going with it and having a good time and, just living it up, and it was absolutely amazing. But the depth of what he's created and the life that it's taken on unto itself, they've even talked in the article, they're in the very early stages of making a video game about this, which I'm just like, yes, amazing. Like,
well, and they even said too that they're like, we're only scratching the surface of the ideas that we have. So you sit there and hear that and you go, my God, what the fuck else could you possibly have to do?
Yeah.
And apparently a whole shitload more. Their portfolio is going to run deep.
Well, that's the beauty of this too. Like, and I think studios like Amazon understand that is one of their sort of catchphrases at the end of their show is they say, you know, there's an unlimited amount of stories out there and we can't wait to tell them all. Like, it's like the sky. There's literally an unlimited amount of stories they can tell in this world that Matt Mercer has built, and it's so cool that they can just sort of kind of have these offshoots and different things like that. And I am so happy for these group of folks, because not only are they incredibly talented voice actors, like if you go and look at the resume of some of the shit that they've been doing, you're like, what the fuck? Like, it's unbelievable the shit that they've done. But they're doing something they love, and it's, you said it when we first started talking about this, it's the authentic. They love doing this shit. They love playing with each other, and it's so much fun. And I'm super thrilled because Campaign 1 had characters, Campaign 2 had different characters, Campaign 3 is going to have different characters. So it's going to be wild to see what they make.
People that they have done for the last 3 years or whatever, that is wrapped up. That would be the same as like Miley is put away from our D&D.
Here's the thing.
Put away, and I'm playing a brand new character now.
Yes, they will put them away, but that character still exists in that universe. Because they're still in the same universe.
Okay.
So, for example, Campaign 1 took place on one particular continent.
Okay.
Campaign 2 happened on a continent right next door. And there was a couple characters that crossed over and were in both campaigns. And so in the timeline, these characters are still around. And so Matt can just pluck them and show them and have these little reveals. Like, there was a giant reveal in Campaign 2 where you meet this character who was like being mind controlled. They broke them out of it, and one of them realized it was the mother of one of their characters from Campaign 1, and she lost her mind. She was like, when it was over, she goes, "That was my mom!" And she, you know, it had no relation to her character here, but in her Campaign 1, it was, he had pulled, he goes, this was a long time coming. Like, he had plucked it, put her there, and I think he said it was a possibility they could have done that in Campaign 1. They just never got to it. These characters went there. He's like, and he wasn't overt about it either. But that was one of my favorite episodes because someone in the chat called it out of Twitch. Yeah. And the way that it played out was one of the people, Sam Regal, just happened to be on at the end of the episode, was just seeing how many people are on Twitch right now at the end of the show. Like 17,000 people. The chat is just,
yeah.
He just happened to spot one that goes, I think that's so-and-so's mother. And he just kind of sat there. And someone did this beautiful video of like showing it like live, how it happened. And you just kind of see him sit there. He kind of looks up. He smiles. He sends a text to one of the other guys. And the other guy just turns on and goes, oh, this is the long game. And they sent it to the woman. Like, say, hey, this is mine. But she was so busy, she didn't see it. So the two of them just sat there and watched it unfold. And then when it finally came to realization and everyone lost their minds, they're like, we've been sitting on this for like 10 minutes. And she was like, what? And like, those are the moments that it's like, so all that being said, Campaign 1 characters still there. Campaign 2 characters still there. Campaign 3 characters brand new. I mean, I think they did like as one of the stretch goals, they did a one shot where it was like Campaign 1 characters versus Campaign 2 characters and like a throwdown.
I love that.
I haven't actually listened to that one yet, but it was like, you know, probably like a not canon thing that happened, but you know, it's unbelievable. So
the thing is, I probably won't start listening to this or trying to catch up or doing it. It's just too much of a commitment, but I will 100% continue to consume the clips that you send me, any recommendations that you think I need to, because even from an outsider's perspective who has no context, these are still enjoyable. Like that you like watch from this time to this time marker, and I'll watch it and I'm like, I don't really know the ins and outs of what's going on, but what I watched was super fucking fun.
Yeah.
And again, you can just see the pleasure just oozing out of them. Like, they love what they're doing. And that is just in and of itself fun to watch. And I will 100% be watching this Amazon Prime show that they've got coming up, because I love the fact that there's Easter eggs for the hardcore fans, but you don't need to have seen a single episode to jump into this. They're gonna make it. They're gonna make it. They're gonna bridge that gap, and I absolutely respect that and love it.
I think the extra thing, which I've already mentioned, is that the voices that you heard in the campaign are going to be the same people voicing the same characters. You're not going to lose an ounce of who these characters are because these were the people who were playing the characters and they know them inside and out. And I think that's just an extra layer of like excitement, like watching these things sort of play out. Like it'll be amazing.
Yeah.
100%. So
the other thing that I'm really looking forward when it premieres, and I don't know if you've heard that this is coming out, but
welcome to the Throwdown.
Oh,
it's here.
It's here. I didn't set a timer for this one, so I'm just guessing. Are we about at the right time?
Oh yeah, we're past. I didn't give a shit. I watched this. We're going longer tonight. I don't care. Because we were in the thick of it, baby. In the thick of it.
All right,
I told you last time, I was like, let's just do 2.5 hours. You're like, let's do like a 3-hour like Critical Role episode. I'm like, fuck yeah, let's do it. All right.
Wait, did this get put into the...
Yeah, I think they got put into the wrong spot. Yeah,
okay.
It's all good though.
The Council of Elders are drunk tonight, apparently, so I got real confused.
It's all good.
Dougie, you ready?
All right, let's do it. Tonight's Throwdown is McGruff the Crime Dog versus Smokey the Bear. All right. Well, I think I had a transition over here so you guys can see what I look at every week as I'm.
I love that we can do this now.
Yeah,
this is cool.
This will be really fun. Who do you want? Do you want Smokey the Bear or do you want McGruff the Crime Dog?
I'll take McGruff the Crime Dog.
All right. I love how he's listed as do-gooder. Is that his name? Why is he do-gooder?
What?
Oh, is that just like their alignment? They're do-gooders?
Yeah, that's alignment, yeah.
Okay. I love this.
It's chaotic good.
I love this. Full name, Smokey Bear. Alias, Smokey the Bear. Occupation, ? Powers and skills, ? Hobby, ? I love it.
Lots of unknowns with Smokey.
Oh, good. This is a short article. This is very, very simple. What do the instructions say? Not a lot of material out there on these stats for these two. At least stuff that's not completely ridiculous. Okay, there's ridiculous stuff if you want McGruff Smokey. Okay, cool. All right, so what do we got? Smokey the Bear. Okay, first of all, does he get to have the shovel or not? We'll put a pin in that. Put a pin in that for now.
Yeah. Are we going? We're going with the hero fandom one, not the Death Battle fandom one, right?
Correct.
Shorter articles, and we get to debate it. Got it.
Yes. Let's see here. The bear is a do-gooder wishing to protect other animals from the deadly red flower of fire. Motivation to stop fires began when a wildfire destroyed his home and family. Oh, Jesus. When he was a little cub. God damn. Tragic backstory. He doesn't have many impressive heroic feats, but when it comes to protecting his land, he can stop time, grow to the size of mountains, and disguise himself as anyone. Wait, where does that happen? Why is that not listed under his powers and skills? I'm sorry, I'm going to need a citation for that. Because that seems overpowered.
Yeah. But he has the shovel. And he needs that.
He has the shovel.
Yeah, I didn't realize he was so powerful. Okay. I don't think there's anything else for him, right?
Nope,
so
that's it.
McGruff it is. He's a do-gooder. He's an anthropomorphic character from the McGruff the Crime Dog ads and public service announcements. If you grew up in the 80s and 90s, then you 100% know who McGruff is. Let's see.
What a weird sentence that says he was first used in the 1960s when public figures were getting assassinated, such as John F. Kennedy, Malcolm X, and Martin Luther King Jr.
That's apropos of nothing.
What's the relevance of that?
Right? Man, you guys pulled some interesting. I feel like this needs to be a throwdown from it's article versus article.
Who the fuck wrote that?
Like he takes a bite out of crime and appears in various commercials. Recently, is featured in a Geico commercial. Yada yada yada. He can turn. Let's see. The character can turn from live action to animated and is known for pausing time.
Oh, okay.
He's got time manipulation skills. He's which is a stretch to even say. He's able to predict crimes before they happen. He's got a precognition.
Oh boy.
They call it pre-detective skills, which sounds more like you're minoring in detective.
Right.
I went to undergrad for detective. He rarely stops crimes. He knows they're gonna happen, but he's complicit.
But he encourages you to do it, you lazy fuck.
Right. Hey kid, that guy's about to shoot someone. Go jump in front of that bullet. So really, McGruff he's an instigator. His design hasn't changed much. History debuted in the 80s. Wait.
What? Does that not add up, Justin?
I don't. This is all sus. Billboard radio ad console, blah blah blah. Cool. So he's a dog who wears a trench coat and 100% a public flasher. He's got precog skills and he can stop time.
So here's the thing: they both have time abilities, but McGruff's not going to do anything about the situation.
No, he's going to put someone in harm's way. He won't do the harm.
Whereas Smokey the Bear is going to do everything he can to protect his land. He's a bear of action. He will take the required action to do what needs to be done. McGruff, not going to do anything. He's like the watcher.
Wait,
you know?
How does Smokey have... You said he has time manipulation?
Yeah, it says... this bear is a do-gooder wishing to protect other animals. He doesn't have many impressive heroic feats, but when it comes to protecting his land, he can stop time, grow to the size of mountains, and disguise himself as anyone.
Oh, yeah, man. Yeah.
Jared says, these are like the American version of Harold the Giraffe and Fat Cat. I'm going to pretend Scruff is Harold and Smokey is Fat Cat. This just in from the other side of the world. This has been 30 Seconds with Jared.
I need to get some sort of a news bumper that we can just play.
And we'll just have what's going on in Australia.
Harold the Giraffe. I'm surprised it wasn't an emu and a...
You sure it wasn't Jerry the Giraffe? Because if I know anything about him, he's going to steal your hair ties.
Again, there are like 4 people in the world who know what that means.
Yeah.
And it's really funny.
Yeah.
What we need to do is get a clip of that and use that as the outro song every week.
Oh shit. I know there's a YouTube clip of him doing that whole thing, that whole bit.
Well,
so
let's see if we can find a clean version of it. And that might be premiering as a very inside joke.
Yes.
Down the road.
Harry the Giraffe.
Back to the task at hand. Look, I don't think... I think it's Smokey all day. I don't see any way that McGruff can win this one. It's a bear versus a dog at the end of the day.
That's also, if we just break down the physiology of this is a bear versus a dog, and a bear that can, when protecting his land, can grow the size of mountains, disguise himself, and stop time. I mean, this bear all day, baby.
Yeah, so I think we're saying it's... Only you can prevent forest fires.
Bitch. Going down, Scruff McDog. I mean, a man-sized bear and a man-sized dog, but growing to a mountain size is hard to beat. Couldn't have said it better myself.
McGruff slogan. Smokey's only you can prevent forest. Oh, take a bite out of crime.
Yeah. Take a bite out of my ass. And Smokey does. It's over.
McGruff is a freak, though, right?
Of course.
Like, McGruff is a straight-up freak.
You don't wear a trench coat like that with nothing beneath it. You know what I mean?
No.
Not have some... He earns his keep with that.
Yeah.
Izzy's and everything. Holy shit, that was a long one, but a good one. So thank you all for hanging out with us. This was, in particular, thank you, Levine23. I hope I'm pronouncing your name right. Hopefully I am. And giving us your insight on Critical Role. I appreciate you. I'm glad you're here. It's so good to have you here. But before we wrap everything up, Justin, what do you have to recommend this week?
I'll say this, Ted Lasso season 2 is, completely wrapped up. So if you had the inkling of waiting until both season 1 and season 2 were out, now's the time to sign up for that free 7-day trial. Go watch Ted Lasso season 1, season 2, and then I'll. I know I've got, I'm sure, 10 things that I've watched in the last week that I could probably recommend. I'm going to recommend again because we got 15 minutes to go in the last episode of the last season that is currently out. Peaky Blinders. Fucking really, really fun. Well, it's not fun. It's a great show. It's intense. It's tragic. It's interesting. It's well shot, incredibly acted, well written. I think it's a wonderful show. So Peaky Blinders on Netflix. And if you're a accent file like me and just love hearing British and Scottish and English or Irish and all sorts of other fun accents, check it out. It's a really great show. Also, we babysat some kids over the weekend. Bluey. If you've never seen that show, it is legitimately entertaining and wholesome and a wonderful kids show. I think Natalie would like it if
she's got plenty of shit to watch.
But you tell her it's an Abby dog and she'll be all over it.
Yeah, it's fine. She's watching Magic School Bus right now, so let her roll with that.
I'll get the message to her somehow.
Thank you.
Okay, Doug, what do you got?
I'm going to recommend something similar to what actually the exact same thing I recommended last week, which is Midnight Mass.
Jared, you never told us about Bluey.
Bluey a billion times.
I don't remember ever hearing it. Sorry. What were you saying, Doug?
Midnight Mass on Netflix. I finished it, but it's still living in my head, and I still think about it. It's a limited series on Netflix, 1 season. I don't think there's going to be any more. I don't know, Justin, are you familiar with this at all?
I saw the trailer, but I don't know anything else about it.
Fucking great, man. Wonderful.
Okay.
Very, very real big Stephen King vibes for me, which was a big win. It's got some phenomenal acting, some excellent monologues. Really shot very well. It's creepy, and it obviously deals a lot with religion. I highly recommend it. So definitely check that out. It's a great October watch.
Yeah.
Not overly gory or anything like that, but it's fucking great, man. It checked all the boxes for me. It was great. I really enjoyed it. Love it. You should also, if you love us, please do us a solid and check us out on all of our social medias at Mind Gap Podcast. Also check out our YouTube channel where we post all of our episodes as well as highlights from our shows and our video game streams. And please, please, please head over to twitch.tv/MindGapPodcast. Drop a like, drop a follow, and make sure you turn on the notifications so you get notified whenever we go live. We go live on Tuesdays at 8 p.m. Central to record our podcasts, and we go live on Saturdays at 8 p.m. Central where I host a video game stream of who knows what. So you should come check that out. And also, don't forget to check out Justin online as well.
On Instagram and Twitter at Justin_Michael, spelled Mikel. It's the fun way of spelling it. And while you're in the online realm, check us out on Spotify, on Stitcher, on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Samsung Podcast, Amazon Music, all the places you can find and consume podcasts. Rate us, review us, give us a like, share us. Anything you can do that is positive, we like. So do those things. And then 2east8th.com/mindgap, and then keep an eye on all of 2 East 8th stuff. When this episode comes out, this episode drops on the same day that we're releasing Peekaboo Man. Short film, very short film, that is just in time for Halloween. It's our first horror short. So written and directed by and shot by Drew Dole in his house in California during the pandemic with very limited actors. So, and it's Max's big screen debut.
Awesome.
His son gets a cameo.
Cool. And also, I'd just like to add that, doing something like leaving a review and sharing that sort of stuff, Justin's always talks about it every week, but it's one of those things where you could get another person, grab some attention from somebody, and you may just drive another person to the Mind Gap family. So it means a lot to us just to leave a review, share, to rate, all that sort of stuff. It goes along. But thank you all for hanging out. This was a wonderful episode, Justin. We're glad to have you back, buddy.
Good to be back, as always.
Nice. And to that, Justin, I say thank you.
Doug, thank you.
Twitch, thank you.
Listeners, thank you.
You all have a dandy fucking
Mind Gap Podcast.